Good morning and welcome to another 1 hour build. This time we will be building rock, paper, scissors as usual, but focusing on building a bit more speed. So without further ado, let's get into it. Start with our tests. Okay, so our tests are working. We can fail and we can pass. Cool. Right, let's define our game. And in fact, we can describe game.compare inputs. Wins. Fails. Passes. Cool. Paper wins. Fails because it's not defined. Passes. Actually, one thing which I forgot that I would like to do is try the reverse as well and do that early. That's going to fail. And then we compare inputs. And then what we're going to do before we pass it to anything else is we are going to sort it. And then we're going to pass that into compare, which is going to be this function. I'm going to call it compare and make it private. And that now works. For all of these, the enum reverse should also work. Scissors wins. Do that actually. Okay, and now we need a close for scissors. Okay, and now we need a test for draws. And we need a paper and scissors. fix this with just a unique clause, actual clause. Okay, right, and that is the core of our game module. And now we need a bot. So describe bot.play test rock, and we're gonna define a seed here. So we're gonna do rand.seed, so that although we're using random values, we can get a specific one. The test is uses the same value every time. We'll give it a seed of 1, and we will do set bot.play is equal to rock, and we're going to have 3 more of these. That one's going to be for paper, and that one's going to be for scissors. Now some of these will fail, but that is fine. And what we're going to do is rock. I'm going to pipe that into random. Okay, so that one's failing. Let's try a different seed. Oh, now it's that one. There we go. Cool. So these are all asserting on random values, but because we're defining a seed, we know they'll always get the same value. Okay, now the more interesting thing is we can start describing the communication between these two modules. And let's start with game. So describe game dot start with a basic init function from GenServer, and test returns initial state, and we can we'll do okay, state is equal to game.init, and we're not going to give it any params for now. I'll just give it an empty array, and then we'll assert state is equal to an empty map. Now this is obviously going to fail because we don't have that function, but if we go to our game and we use GenServer, that will give us a default implementation. Okay, yeah, the default state is an empty list. Okay, cool. So what we want to do here is we want the game to take a list of players first and foremost. In fact, before players, we want a name for the game. And we're going to put that in context and use and we're going to do a tag G1. So that should be name, and can do state.name is equal to name. Obviously that's going to fail. Okay, yeah. So what we want to do then is def init, and we say name to, we want to return okay. We want to make sure this implements the GenServer protocol behavior. And we want to return name. Okay, cool. What else do we need in the state here? We need players. And they're going to be P1, P2. In fact, what I'm going to do with name, I'll make these tests more explicit. So returns initial state with players. Probably don't need the name argument here at all. And we want to save that in a pending players list. We don't need the name at all. Now we do need the name. Okay. And we need the players in there. And then here we need here we need and that needs to be that. Okay, cool. Right, so we've got that in the state. And similarly, we need the bot to also be GenServers. So describe bot.init test. How do we do these? Returns initial state name players. Returns initial state with name. We're going to have a context here, and it's going to be name, and we're going to tag bot1, for example. And again, we're going to have okay, comma state is equal to bot.init name assert state.name is equal to name. Okay, that's going to fill. Let's open that up. Use GenServer. Yeah, and then what we can do is implement GenServer def init name do. Okay, and we'll return a map with name. Okay, right, so that is the very core of our initial state. going back to the game, we also need the game to be able to communicate with with the bot and send pass messages to other parts of the application. So without further ado, we're gonna clone that down. They're gonna be the same. So we need it to subscribe to game colon G1 topic. And for that, we are going to need, first of all, we're going to need to install phoenix.pubsub. You can add it there. Yeah, okay. And we're going to need a setup block. Setup, which takes the context and it returns OK, comma, context. And then we're going to do map.put. And we're going to put a key called subscribe. And the value is going to be a function that takes a topic and returns a does phoenix.pubsub.subscribe. The name of the pubsub is going to be pubsub name. And the topic is going to be our topic. And inside this, so we're going to define pubsub name as test pubsub, and then we're going to do start supervised. That's going to be phoenix.pubsub, and the name is going to be at pubsub name. Just complaining about subscribe. That's the key. Okay, so quite a bit to unpack there, but essentially we're starting the pubsub service for the use of the tests, and we are, rather than having the game know about what pubsub it's using or how it's notifying or anything like that, or how it's subscribing, we're creating a function that already includes the pubsub name and the subscribe method, and we're going to put that in the context of the in the state of the game. So without further ado, we are now going to have in here subscribe, and here we're going to have subscribe. And what we want to do is assert that registry.lookup, and what the registry is going to be our pubsub name, and the key is going to be game colon G1. I'm going to pass that into length, and we're going to assert that that is 0. So this is all this is saying is that at the very start there aren't any subscribers to that topic. So we need to first of all add the subscribe, right? And that will say minute subscribe name players. Okay, right. We also then need to subscribe in all of these, which is making me regret my choice of separating them out. Okay, right, so that works. let's extract this as a variable. Topic is equal to that. And then we can duplicate this one, move it down, and assert that it's 1 afterwards. Obviously that's going to fail because we're not actually using the subscribe. But then in here we can do, we can just call subscribe. We need to do dot because it's an anonymous function to invoke it, and then we'll just give it our topic, which is game. That is going to be the game and the name. Okay, and that is successfully subscribing to the topic. I would like to extract that as a function. So I'm going to delete it. I'm going to say subscriber count of topic. And somewhere up here, we're going to define I only need one of these. That should still work. Cool. Okay. In fact, I think I'm going to move this further up because I think we're going to need it elsewhere. Okay, got a bunch of tests here. Can definitely collapse those. Okay, we want another test to do what? In fact, we want to mirror this for bot. We want to make sure that the bot does what it needs to do. Now, interestingly, we're going to need the same pub sub, and we're going to need the same subscribe function. So I think we can move this setup further up as well. Let's see what happens. Oh, I need this pub sub name up here as well. Yeah, that's happy. Cool. Okay, so we can go to bot.play. No, not bot.play, that one's fine. Bot init. And we want to say at tag name b1 just subscribes to player b1 topic, and our context is going to be name, and we're also going to want subscribe. And we are going to assert subscriber count of topic, which is going to be topic is going to be player b1 is equal to 0. Yep, cool. And now, okay, comma state is equal to bot.init, and we're gonna give it name is name, subscribe is subscribe. That's a single equals, and of course the close doesn't match, so we are going to need And here we want to take a subscribe, and we're going to, actually we don't need to add it to the state, I don't think, because we only subscribe once, so that's gonna work, but 113 isn't, so we need here subscribe, and the same here. Okay, right, and now what we want to do here, assert subscriber count of topic is 1. Okay, I don't think we actually need to save the state here, we're not using it, but we do need to subscribe here, so. And the topic is going to be player. Okay, cool. So both of these are wired up to their own topics. And now what we want to do is actually start doing some stuff. So when the game starts, we want it to request inputs from the players. So still during init, we're gonna copy that tag, and we're gonna say test requests input from players. Now, that's not quite the right wording, because this isn't going to request the inputs. This is going to and triggers request inputs function on self. I don't know the wording of that, but we can fix it a bit later. And basically, what we're going to say is, once again, we're going to be working with the init function. Is equal to game.init, and we're going to have name. We need all this context basically. Name's going to be name. Players are going to be players. Subscribe. And what we need to say is we need to subscribe to the channel of that the game will be listening to it on. So we can do that here, and in fact we can use our subscribe function. But this subscribes the test, and we expect it to message on game D1. And then what we're going to do is we're going to do assert receive, and we're going to expect to have received a message called request input. I think that should do the trick. Mailbox is empty. Okay, so what we can then do here is, oh, interestingly, we can subscribe, but we don't have a broadcast message function yet. So we need another one in here. But instead of subscribe, it'll be broadcast. Yeah, and topic, and this will be a message which will come in here. And annoyingly, we're going to need to add that to everywhere. So let me Okay. We can do that. Okay, so now I think we can select all of these at once. No, we can't. Hardly worth the trouble, is it? Alright. And then here we want a broadcast. And that's going to be right. That's there. And then in here and in here, add broadcast. Right, now that's going to fail because we don't actually have broadcast on here. Okay, and now we have the ability from within our init function to broadcast. And we're going to broadcast to self topic. And we're going to do request inputs. Yep, and that's all passing. So that is broadcasting to itself to say we now need to request inputs. At this point, I think we are mostly, if not entirely, done with the init function. So let's close that up and do. I really want to move that up actually. Let's see if this is going to work. No. It's fine. Yeah, it's fine. We can put it there. Right. Okay. And we need. Now we need to respond to that self message. So game. We're just going to have a generic one for handle info. Test request inputs. So what we need to check here is the request inputs info message will get the message and the state, and it needs to go through and request inputs from all the players. So we're going to need much the same tags as we've got here. And we're going to need context, which is going to be basically the same as we're using here. Okay, it's getting long. And what we're going to do is we are going to we're going to get no reply and a state, and we're going to get that from game.handle info, and the message will be request inputs, and the state will be, what will the state be? Let's have a think. It will be name, which will be name, that's the name of the game. We will have pending players, which will be the players, and we will have well, actually the state will be the state from init. So we can actually just put in state, and we can have an OK state. And then we make sure that these are working together as well. Init, and we can basically use all the stuff from here. Oh, I wonder, because we're not calling this in the context of a gen server, it means that the subscribe in this function should actually subscribe the test process, and we might be able to get away without this if this wasn't broken. Yeah. Oh, cool. Yeah, I like that. That's quite nice. Okay, cool. So we've got OK state, input state. Okay, so handles info, and then what we need to do, we do need to subscribe before. Subscribe to the topic for the bot. So this will be player P1, and in fact we need player P2 as well. And then we need to assert receive, and we expect to receive a tuple, which will be play, and we will have game is the name of the game. I think that's all. I don't think we need anything else. But we should receive that twice, one for each player. Okay, so you can see that we're getting the request inputs, and now we need to handle info on that. So let's go up here, way up here. Okay, we're done with our context. To worry about that. So we need at info gen server def and handle info, and this will get request inputs and a state. We're going to return no reply from the state, and what we're going to do is we're going to say state.players pending players, pass that into enum.each, and we will do fn player, and in here, ooh, why do I have two hands there? Anyway, we will do state dot broadcast, and is that gonna work? Let's see. And the topic is gonna be player colon player, and the message is going to be play game is state.name. That should do the trick for us. Let's see. Because we then put the broadcast in our state. So let's have a look. We want to test for that actually in init. Initial state players. That should be pending players. with broadcast. Okay, so that's going to fail, and then up here we do cool, awesome. All of that is passing. Oh, that needs to be pinned. There we go. Okay, and we don't actually care about that state. Although we can say that we can assert that the state is unchanged because it doesn't do anything else. Ooh, we can pin it, I think. Yes, that's better. Cool. Okay. So the game handles this handles info, and it messages the players. We need to make sure that the players has this, that the bot has the functionality to deal with it. So describe bot.handle info to test, and it receives a game G1, for example. And what we want is from here, tag name B1. In fact, we just want one of these. We don't need to run the, well, we can run the init so that we've got the state, and then we can get rid of that. So that will be subscribed to its own channel, and we need to also subscribe to the game G1 topic, and we want to say no reply state. I think the state can be unchanged. I don't think we're going to need to change the state here, and there'll be to bot.handle info. That will be play game G1. And the state will be the state we had before. And we need to assert receive and we will have, what should we receive? We'll receive a message. So it should send the game a message that says play, and it will say player is name, and it will say choice is choice. We will pin this, and we'll keep the choice there. I think that should do the trick. Cannot compile. Why can it not compile? What have I done? Describe. Okay. And now we can go up to our bot and say at import server def handle info and it will be play, comma, game name, and we'll get a state, and we'll return no reply state, and then we will do state dot broadcast, and the topic will be game game name, and we will send player is our state.name, and the choice is going to be play. So that's going to be random. And that should do the trick for us. Broadcast not found in name B1. Yes, because we don't have it here. We need to do the same thing. So do that. I need to go here. Init. Yeah, bot init needs a broadcast. Mary bot init. Okay, cool. So, and what we can do is that choice assert enum.member rock, paper, scissors, and choice. Cool. There we go. So we are also certain that it is sending back a correct choice. Now we need to handle that on the game end. I can collapse that. Need more stuff there, but here we can basically grab all of this. And instead of request input, we are going to receive play player name, and we're going to receive choice rock choice. Right. So what does the game do when it does that? We're going to have a state change because it's going to remove, if the player is correct, the player is in the pending list, then it needs to remove them from the pending list, because that's how we eventually know that everyone's played. And also we can figure out how whether a player's a play should be allowed. And also then if all players have played, it needs to notify itself that it can start judging. So we don't need to subscribe to the players though. No, we don't. We don't need to subscribe to the players. We do need to init, well, only so that we get the subscription to ourselves and a state that we can put in to handle info. Now, we are going, I don't think we need these assert receives. We're going to do player is doesn't really matter which one, so we can do players and pipe that into enum.random. So any of the valid players, and the message can be it'll be play. Oh no, that's the state. No, that's still the message. The state goes here. Yeah, the choice, and that can be bot.play. And then what we expect is in fact, over here we can assert state.players piped into length. It's not players, it's pending players. It should be 2, and then we can remove that. Move that down, and now we should have 1 pending player. We also, let's check that first. Yeah, there's no handle info that matches, so collapse that, and we're going to add a new handle info, def handle info, play player choice state do reply state. Okay, right, so that works so far, but of course it's not removing it from the players. So case enum.member state.pending players comma player. So this is where we're checking to see if the player is actually part of the one that we're waiting for. We're going to return a state here, and we're going to do true. If it's true, we're going to do some stuff. Just do state for now. If it's false, we're going to do some stuff, which will be state for now. Now, what do we want to do? If it's true, we want to register their choice, and well, actually, our test is only saying that we want to kick them out of pending players. So what we can do is do state map.update. The key will be pending players, and the function will take players. And what we will do is we'll do enum.reject players, comma, and one is equal to player. So we'll just reject our player from the list there. Oh no, that takes players. That's it. Yeah, cool. So that's passing. The other thing we need to assert is that state.choices that's interesting. Okay, let's grab now we don't need import. That's not where we're working. We need to save this. So trace Okay, and what we need to assert is that state dot choices at choice is equal to array, which is so it needs to have a key and it needs to be the player. Now that's going to break badly because there's no choices in the state. I am going to include choices in here. As an empty map so that we have a map that we can update, and that's going to break all sorts of things. Oh, no, it's not. Cool, awesome, even better. But we do want it in the game init. And we are running very, very close to time, but let's see if we can do that. Choices. Just want to assert that it's an empty map. Cool, that's fine. It's still the old test that's failing. So we want over here to make sure that we actually save our choice. So in fact we can duplicate that. It's going to be choices, and this is going to be a choices map. And then what we're going to do is choices, add that into map dot update for, we're going to update the key, which is the choice. The default value is going to be our player in a list on its own, and then if we have other players, if it's already there, then we have a list of players, and that's going to be our player added to the players list at the front, prepended. Right. Okay, so that works. And I think that brings us to time. There is some additional work that we want to do, but in principle, this is still playable. The next, the missing bits are to actually make the game trigger its judge functionality, but we're getting closer. So hopefully next time we will get it all done. Thanks for watching. Take care. Bye.